space, a brand new chart. For the head and for the heart, it's your journey, your tools.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're focusing on something we all think we do well, but maybe, just maybe, we don't always nail it. Listening. We're swimming in communication tools, right? Constant pings, texts, emails, endless scrolling. But there's this paradox, isn't there?
There absolutely is.
All this connecting doesn't necessarily mean we're actually connected. The sheer amount of talk doesn't seem to equal, depth.
That paradox.
Yeah.
It's sitting right at the heart of so many problems in relationships. Honestly.
How so?
Well, think about it. You might swap like a dozen texts with your partner during the day. Logistics, mostly.
Yeah, who's picking up the kids? What's for dinner?
Exactly. The schedule, the bills, all that everyday stuff.
Yeah.
But those messages, they often completely sidestep the emotional core.
Okay.
So you end up with partnerships, even ones with real love, feeling strained. Why? Because there's a fundamental breakdown in the actual skill of active listening.
Right. It's a skill, not just something that happens.
Precisely. And that lack, that deficit, it leaves partners feeling incredibly isolated emotionally, unheard, which in your most important relationship, it's devastating.
Okay, so we definitely need to start right there, the basics, because I think this is where a lot of the confusion starts. Hearing versus active listening.
Yeah.
What's the real difference? If we want that depth, we need to understand this first.
Absolutely fundamental. It's basically the difference between a reflex and a commitment, a conscious choice.
Okay.
Hearing is passive. It's purely physiological. Sound waves hit your eardrum, boom. Your brain registers noise.
It's like the car horn outside or the fridge humming.
Exactly. The neighbor's dog barking and the air conditioner kicking on, it takes zero conscious effort from you. It just happens.
That's just our body doing its thing, the default setting.
That's it. Active listening, though, totally different ballgame. It's intentional. It's conscious. And honestly, it's a developed skill.
Meaning it takes practice?
Lots of practice.
Sure.
And patience. Because you're making a commitment. You're committing to thoroughly understand the entire message, not just the words.
What else is there besides the word?
Oh, so much. The emotional weight behind the words, the feeling that's driving them, and all the nonverbal stuff, too. The body language, the tone of voice, that gives you crucial context.
So taking that level of intention into a partnership, what does that actually look like? What's the listener actually doing?
It breaks down into 4 key actions, really.
Yeah.
First, focusing completely, putting distractions aside.
The phone.
The TV.
Definitely. Second, making absolutely sure you understand the full message, the facts and the feelings. Third, responding thoughtfully, not just reacting.
Okay.
And fourth, and this is often missed, actually retaining that information, remembering it, using it later.
Remembering seems key for trust.
It is. But here's the deeper thing, the subtext beneath all that effort. The very act of deciding to spend that energy, that focus, it's a massive nonverbal message in itself.
What message is that? It says loud and clear. You matter. Your thoughts, your feelings, your experience. They are worth my complete, undivided attention right now.
Wow, okay.
And that simple act of prioritizing them over your own internal chatter or the TV or whatever else, that's the first step. It's the bedrock for building real, deep trust. It's validation in action.
Okay, I like that idea. Investing attention. So if we're putting in this work, this, cognitive and emotional effort, what's the payoff? What are the actual tangible returns we get in the relationship? Why does it matter so much?
The returns are huge, exponential, really. And they don't happen in isolation. They feed each other. They create this positive, self-reinforcing cycle. It builds what relationship researchers sometimes call a resilient partnership architecture. It makes the whole thing stronger.
Okay, let's break that down. What's the first big return?
Trust, first and foremost. Foundational. We tend to think trust is built on like big dramatic gestures or surviving crises together.
Yeah, loyalty tests or something.
Right. But the reality, it's usually built much more quietly. It's the steady buildup, the accumulation of small, everyday moments. Moments where one person risks being a little vulnerable. And that vulnerability is met with safety, consistently.
And active listening creates that safety.
It's the primary engine for it. It creates that reliable emotional safety net. Because if your partner knows, truly knows, that when they share something tender, a fear, an insecurity, something they're maybe even ashamed of, they won't be immediately shut down.
Interrupted, judged.
Exactly. Or dismissed. If they know that space is safe, They learn they can actually be vulnerable with you.
That makes sense. I can see how that would make me feel safer to share more over time.
Absolutely. That consistency, knowing you won't be met with criticism or a counter-argument right away, it builds this deep, stable trust. It encourages even more openness down the line. The message they receive implicitly is, I can count on you, not just to hear my words, but to handle my feelings carefully. That's huge.
So once that safety net is there, that trust is established, how does that change the intimacy? What does it unlock?
Well, it acts like this essential channel, right? Active listening moves the relationship beyond just managing life together.
The logistics, the transactions.
Exactly, beyond the who does what. It moves you towards profound emotional intimacy, real closeness, because you're consistently creating this space, this non-judgmental zone. It allows both of you to actually explore each other's inner worlds, the complexities, the nuances. You stop just knowing what your partner does day to day, and you start understanding why they do it, how they feel about it, what it means to them.
That's a much deeper level of knowing someone.
It is. And this connection, it isn't just emotional. Because the source material we looked at drew a really interesting line, didn't it? Between how well couples feel they communicate and, well, their physical connection.
Yeah, that was surprising. The link to sexual satisfaction.
It's one of the most compelling findings in this area, honestly. There's a very strong, consistent correlation in the research. High levels of communication satisfaction, feeling heard, feeling understood, are strongly linked to significantly greater sexual satisfaction in the relationship.
Wow. Why is that? What's the connection?
The thinking is, psychologically, when you feel deeply gotten by your partner, truly understood at that core level, it helps dissolve barriers, both emotional and physical.
Makes sense. Feeling safe emotionally probably makes you feel safer physically.
Exactly. That sense of security, being fully seen and accepted, it just melts away the inhibitions, the anxieties that can often block physical intimacy. When the emotional bond feels solid and safe, the physical expression of that bond just flows more freely, becomes richer, more fulfilling. Intimacy really blossoms when vulnerability meets understanding.
Okay, let's talk conflict. Because it's going to happen, right? It's inevitable.
Yeah.
You stick two people together long enough, disagreements will pop up. But most of us dread it. We see it as purely negative. How does active listening change that? Turn it into an opportunity? That sounds almost counterintuitive.
It does, but it's true. Conflict itself doesn't wreck relationships. Poorly managed conflict does. That's the killer.
Right.
Active listening is the game changer here. It immediately shifts the dynamic. It transforms conflict from what it usually feels like a battle, right? A fight to win, where each person is just trying to prove they're right and the other's wrong.
Yeah, scoring points.
Exactly. It transforms it into something completely different. A collaborative dialogue. A problem you navigate together as a team, not as opponents.
How does it de-escalate things so quickly? What's the actual mechanism?
It's the immediate shift in the goal. The second you consciously decide, my goal right now isn't to win this argument, it's to truly understand where a partner's coming from.
Oh.
Boom. The tension starts to drop.
Because you're not attacking anymore.
You're not attacking. And you're signaling that you care about their perspective. Most arguments get nasty not because of the actual disagreement about facts, but because of misunderstandings about intent, or feeling dismissed, or feeling attacked.
Right. You don't care how I feel.
Exactly that. By focusing intently, by really listening to understand their emotional experience, you get a clearer, more empathetic picture. That automatically short-circuits the usual cycle. Defend, counterattack, escalate.
Okay.
Instead, you reinforce your identity as a unit. It's us against the problem, not me against you. It makes the argument productive even if it's still difficult. The goal isn't to avoid pain, it's to make the conflict useful.
That shift from winning to understanding is huge. But okay, before we get into the actual how-to, the specific things to say, or you mentioned something critical earlier. So the techniques are kind of useless if the internal mindset isn't right.
Oh, absolutely critical. The internal stance, your intention, that's everything. It's the foundation if you're just going through the motions.
Like ticking boxes, nodding, paraphrasing.
Yeah. If you're doing that, but inside you're actually boiling or bored or just mentally rehearsing your killer comeback, it won't work. In fact, it can backfire. Your partner will feel it. The techniques will seem robotic, maybe even manipulative, like you're handling them, not hearing them. They'll end up feeling patronized, not understood. So before any techniques, we have to cultivate the right internal architecture, the listener's stance, and the absolute non-negotiable starting point for that internal stance. Full presence, undivided attention. This demands serious discipline, though, on two fronts.
Oh, what are they?
First, the obvious one. Tackling the external distractions, the noise outside yourself.
Sounds away. TV off.
Consciously. Make a point of putting the phone out of sight, turning off the TV, maybe choosing a quieter room or time for important conversations. These aren't just practical steps. They're powerful nonverbal messages. They say, this conversation and you are my priority right now. It signals respect.
We all know we should do that, but let's be real. The internal noise, that's the tough one, isn't it? Quieting your own brain, especially when things are heated or you're stressed. I mean, is that even realistic if you're juggling kids, work, deadlines?
That's where the real discipline kicks in. And yeah, it's hard. Achieving total mental silence, probably not realistic, no. But achieving prioritization, that is.
Okay, prioritization. What does that mean in practice?
It means acknowledging those internal thoughts when they pop up. The brilliant point you want to make, the worry about tomorrow's meeting, the mental grocery list, acknowledge them, notice them, and then consciously, deliberately, gently set them aside again and again. You keep bringing your focus back exclusively to the person speaking. Think of it like mental triage. Your partner's communication is the emergency happening right now in the operating room. Your own thoughts, your rebuttal. That's the non-urgent case that has to wait outside. It takes mindfulness, it takes practice, especially under stress. But it's absolutely essential if you want to actually absorb what they're saying.
Okay, so you're present, but then there's that other urge. The urge to jump in and correct them or criticize, especially if it's a pattern, something you feel like you've heard a million times. Here we go again. It's so hard not to just mentally grade their argument.
Right. It's incredibly strong. It's almost like a default human setting, isn't it? We judge, we evaluate, we compare their reality to ours, often to make ourselves feel more secure or right.
Yeah.
But effective listening demands something radical. You have to temporarily suspend all that. Suspend the biases, the assumptions about what they really mean or where this is going, and especially that powerful, immediate urge to correct their facts or argue against their feelings.
So the goal right now isn't agreement. It's not about deciding if they're right or wrong.
Not at all. The goal is purely 100% understanding. That's it. The mindset you need to cultivate is one of genuine curiosity. Almost like a scientist exploring a new phenomenon, or maybe even like a child asking why.
Curiosity.
Yeah, you're trying to understand their world, their experience from their point of view, not trying to fit it into your box or impose your logic onto their feelings. That non-judgmental stance is what gives them permission to express themselves fully, without filtering, without bracing for impact.
Okay, this feels like maybe the biggest mental shift needed. You mentioned the habit of listening just to find a gap, right? Listening for your turn to talk, to share your own story, or launch your defense.
That habit, listening to reply, is probably the single biggest killer of real connection in conversations. It's so common we barely notice we're doing it.
So what's the shift? How do we break that?
It's a conscious paradigm shift. You have to deliberately silence your own agenda. Just put it on mute for a while. You have to switch from being self-focused, what am I thinking, what am I going to say next, to being completely partner-focused. What is my partner truly trying to tell me right now, underneath it all?
Okay.
Your only goal, the single point on your compass, has to be complete understanding. Getting the facts, yes, but more importantly, getting the feelings, the emotions, the needs driving those facts. If you can really nail that internal shift, then all the techniques we're about to talk about, they stop being techniques and start being genuine expressions of care. They flow naturally.
Okay, perfect transition. Let's get practical. This is where, like you said, the rubber meets the road. We've done the internal work. We're trying to be present, non-judgmental, focused on understanding. Now, how do we actually show that? How do we use the tools, verbal and nonverbal, to physically demonstrate, hey, I'm locked in, I'm with you?
Right, and these mechanics, they work together. It's a system. They have to be congruent. They have to match. Because if they don't,
people see right through it.
Instantly. If your words say, I understand, but your body is screaming, I'm bored, or I'm checking my watch, or I'm about to interrupt, the nonverbal wins. Every single time. It completely cancels out your words and undermines everything.
Okay, let's start with the words then. The foundational skill you mentioned, reflecting and paraphrasing. It sounds simple, but I feel like people mess this up a lot.
They do. Because it sounds simple, but doing it well requires real focus. paraphrasing is the absolute bedrock of active listening feedback. It's basically restating your partner's core message, but crucially, in your own words.
But in your own words.
Because just parroting them back sounds, quote, like you're a parrot.
Right.
It doesn't show understanding. Restating it in your own words proves you've processed it, translated it, and you need to capture both the content, the facts, and the feeling behind it.
Okay. And what does that achieve?
Two vital things. One, it proves you are actually listening and trying to understand. Two, it gives the speaker an immediate safe chance to say, yes, that's it. Or, just as importantly, no, not quite, it's more like this. It allows for course correction right away before misunderstandings fester. You should be doing this frequently in an important conversation.
Can you give us a sort of template, a structure that helps?
Yeah, a really effective, simple structure is something like, okay, so if I'm getting this right, you felt X the emotion when Y the specific event happened, because it felt like Z the meaning or interpretation they made. Is that accurate?
Okay, concrete example.
Sure. So it sounds like you felt really hurt X when I didn't call you back last night. Y, because it seemed like I wasn't prioritizing you or thinking about you, Z. Is that what you're saying? That final question, is that right? Did I get that? Is essential. It gives them the power to confirm or correct.
That really does force you to listen carefully, to fill in those X, Y, and Zs. It makes the partner feel, processed, not just vaguely acknowledged. Okay, what if the conversation is longer, more complex, lots of points being made?
Good question. That's where summarizing comes in handy. It's like paraphrasing, but on a bigger scale.
How does that work?
When your partner has shared several connected things, maybe stress from work, feeling disconnected from you, worries about their parents' health, you periodically pause and try to weave those main threads together.
Like connecting the dots for them.
Kind of. More like reflecting back the bigger picture you're hearing. Okay, so it sounds like the main things on your mind right now are this intense pressure at work, which is leading to feeling drained at home, and on top of that, you're carrying this worry about your mom's upcoming surgery. Is that capturing the main themes?
I can see how that would be helpful. It shows you're tracking the whole story, not just the last sentence. And it probably helps organize the conversation, too.
Exactly. It helps both of you see the forest, not just the trees, and prevents things from just spiraling into a jumble of complaints. It structures the flow.
Okay, summarizing. What about asking questions? This seems like it could easily go wrong, feel like an interrogation, or like you're derailing them.
You definitely can if done poorly. Asking good questions is truly an art form in listening. The key is to move beyond questions that just require a simple yes or no.
Okay, so less were you angry?
Right. That just gets you a one-word answer, maybe. Instead, aim for open-ended questions. Questions that invite them to elaborate, to explore, to share more deeply.
Like what?
Instead of, were you upset when they canceled the project? Try, how did that situation with the project cancellation make you feel? Or even simpler prompts like, wow, can you tell me more about that? Or what was that like for you? These open the door.
And what if they use words that are kind of fuzzy or loaded? Like if a partner says they feel disrespected or stuck or overwhelmed, those can mean different things to different people.
That's a perfect time for clarifying questions. When those vague or emotionally charged words come up, you need to gently probe for their specific meaning. Don't assume you know what they mean by stuck.
So you might say,
You could say something like, help me understand what stuck feels like for you specifically in this situation. Or, when you say you felt disrespected, what was it about my actions that landed that way for you? This shows you genuinely want to grasp their unique experience, not just slap your own label on it. It avoids a ton of conflict right there. #tag nonverbal cues. Okay, so that's the verbal toolkit. But remember what we said. Your body often shouts louder than your words. Nonverbal cues are huge. You need to be aware of both decoding your partner's signals and projecting receptive signals yourself.
right, so how do we physically show I'm open, I'm listening, I'm here? What does that look like?
The basic cues are pretty universal, actually. Face your partner directly, square up, keep your posture open, arms and legs generally uncrossed. Maybe lean in just slightly.
Signals engagement.
Exactly. Engagement and openness. And the opposite is just as clear, isn't it? A closed posture, arms folded tightly, legs crossed away from them, constantly fidgeting, tapping your foot, angling your body towards the door.
Yeah, that screams, I want out, or I'm defensive.
Instantly.
Yeah.
It sends a powerful, non-negotiable message of impatience, defensiveness, or just plain disinterest. It doesn't matter how nicely you're saying, if your body is saying, nope.
Okay, posture. What about eye contact? This one feels tricky. Too little feels dismissive, but too much can feel intense. Aggressive even.
It is tricky. Eye contact is a primary way we establish connection and show attention. But you're right, it needs to feel comfortable, not like a staring contest.
So what's the sweet spot? Is there a rule of thumb?
The general guideline from communication research is to aim for maintaining a comfortable, consistent, but not unbroken gaze for about 50% to 70% of the time, while your partner is the one speaking.
Okay, 50 to 70%. So looking away occasionally is actually okay. Normal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking away briefly to process, or just naturally as part of the flow, is fine. It's frequently averting your eyes, looking down constantly, or staring blankly past them that signals disengagement. And yeah, that unbroken, intense stare can feel really confrontational or intimidating. Relaxed and frequent is the goal.
Got it. Relaxed, frequent, not creepy. What about the little sounds we make? The stuff that isn't words, but shows we're listening.
Ah, the background music of listening. Super important. First, your actual vocal tone when you do speak, even just to paraphrase, needs to be calm, warm, non-judgmental, no sarcasm, no edge.
Right.
And then there are those little verbal affirmations, sometimes called minimal encouragers, things like, okay, I see, go on. Even just a slight nod.
What do those do?
They serve a crucial function. They tell the speaker, I'm still with you, I'm tracking, keep going, without actually interrupting their flow or taking the floor. It's like providing little stepping stones of encouragement that keep them feeling safe and motivated to continue sharing.
This feels like it all leads up to the next big piece, which you flagged as maybe the most powerful tool of all. Validation. It feels like the culmination of presence, understanding, and showing you're listening, making the other person feel truly met.
You've got it. Validation really is the heart of connections, arguably the highest form of active listening, because it addresses the core emotional need we all have to feel seen, understood, and accepted for who we are and what we feel. So let's define it clearly. Validation means recognizing, understanding, and then explicitly expressing acceptance of your partner's emotional experience as being legitimate and understandable from their perspective.
Okay. Legitimate and understandable from their perspective. That seems key.
Absolutely. And here's the single most critical distinction, the one people stumble over constantly. Validation is not the same as agreement. This is huge.
Say that again. Validation is not agreement.
Correct. You can fully validate your partner's feeling. Acknowledge that it exists, that it makes sense given their viewpoint, without agreeing with the facts as they see them, or the interpretation they've made, or the conclusion they've drawn.
That's a massive relief, actually, because often in arguments, you resist validating their pain. I understand you're angry because it feels like you're saying, okay, you win, I was wrong, your anger is justified by the facts.
Exactly. That fear of conceding, of admitting fault, is the main reason people don't validate, but you're not conceding the point. You're simply acknowledging their internal reality.
So you're saying,
I see you, I see that you feel angry, sad, scared. And given how you experience that situation, I can understand why that action or event would lead to that feeling for you. Your feeling makes sense based on your perspective.
That's it. Why is that simple acknowledgement so incredibly powerful? What's actually happening inside us, in our brains and bodies, when we feel validated? Or when we successfully validate someone else?
The impact is profound, and it's actually physiological. It's not just nice words. When your partner feels genuinely seen and their emotional experience is accepted, it literally acts like a reset button for their nervous system.
A reset button. How?
That feeling of emotional safety, of being gotten, helps to calm the amygdala, the brain's threat detector. This reduces the flood of the stress hormone cortisol, which is the chemical fuel for that fight-or-flight reactive defensive state.
Okay, so it calms the stress response.
Right. And at the same time, that sense of connection and safety triggers the release of oxytocin. That's often called the bonding hormone or cuddle chemical. It promotes feelings of trust, warmth, security, and connection.
So validation literally changes brain chemistry in a way that makes connection and collaboration possible again. An argument basically can't move forward productively until that happens.
Pretty much. When someone is swamped with cortisol, their prefrontal cortex, the rational thinking, problem-solving part of the brain, basically goes offline.
Yeah.
They can't think clearly, they can't empathize, they can't collaborate. Validation is the key that helps lower that reactivity, reduces defensiveness, and brings the thinking brain back online. It shifts them from a protective reactive state into a state where connection and problem-solving are actually possible. Okay, so how do we do it? What's the practical sequence? First, give your full attention, obviously, then listen fully without interrupting until they seem finished expressing that particular feeling or point.
Okay.
Then try to accurately identify the primary emotion they're expressing Are they angry, hurt, scared, frustrated, disappointed, exhausted? Name it.
Just name the feeling.
Name it and reflect it back with acceptance. Let's use that source example about navigating disagreement, the one that highlights separating intent from impact. That's crucial here.
Yeah, walk us through how that works.
Okay, say partner A says, I felt so betrayed and stupid when you told Sarah about my potential job loss before I even told my family. How could you? Now, partner B might feel defensive, thinking, I was just trying to get support for you. But they need to validate the impact first.
So partner B says...
Partner B takes a breath and says something like, wow, okay, I hear how betrayed and hurt you are right now because it felt like I broke your trust and took away your chance to share your own news in your own way. That sounds awful. Pause. Let that land. Then maybe add, while my intention was just to get advice on how to support you, I can totally understand why my action came across that way and made you feel exposed and angry. That makes complete sense that you'd feel betrayed.
Okay, so you clearly state your intention wasn't malicious, but you fully validate that the impact was painful and that the feeling, betrayal, is understandable given that impact.
Exactly. You validate the feeling without necessarily agreeing that your intent was harmful. That separation is key. Now, just as important as knowing what not to say. The invalidating phrases.
Oh yeah, the communication killers.
They're so common and often said with maybe good intentions, but they're incredibly damaging. We absolutely have to ditch phrases like, you're overreacting, you're being too sensitive, just let it go. It's not that big of a deal.
Or my personal favorite, when someone is clearly upset, look on the bright side. Or, it could be worse.
Ugh, yes. Toxic positivity. All of those basically tell your partner, your feelings are wrong, your reaction is inappropriate, you shouldn't feel what you feel. It's instant dismissal.
So what are the good alternatives? Simple, validating phrases.
Keep it simple and genuine. Things like, wow, that sounds incredibly difficult. Or, I can really see why you'd feel so, name the emotion, frustrated, scared, disappointed. Or simply, thank you for trusting me enough to share this with me. Sometimes just reflecting the feeling is enough. That sounds so frustrating.
Okay. Now, one more pitfall you mentioned. The premature problem solver. The listener who hears pain and immediately jumps into fix-it mode.
Ah, yes, the fixer. This is such a common pattern, especially, though not exclusively, for men, culturally speaking. And it often comes from a good place, usually the listener's own discomfort with seeing their partner in pain.
They want to make the bad feeling go away. For the partner, and maybe for themselves, too.
Exactly. The partner's sadness or anxiety makes the listener feel anxious or helpless, so their impulse is, quick, find a solution, make it stop.
But what does the person sharing the feeling actually hear when that happens?
They probably hear, your feeling is inconvenient, it's a problem I need to fix quickly so we can move on.
Precisely. They feel rushed. They feel like their emotion isn't okay to just exist. The message is, stop feeling this, here's how. It's inherently invalidating, even if unintentional.
So what's required instead? True validation often requires the listener to build their own tolerance for discomfort, to just sit with their partner's pain without rushing to fix it, to simply be present with the emotion, offering empathy and understanding first, creating space for the feeling to just be. Problem solving can come later, after the person feels heard and validated. The initial goal is connection, not correction.
That shift from fixing the problem to just being present with the person experiencing the problem, that feels really profound, game-changing even.
It really is. It changes the whole energy. Now, even if we're trying our best with all these techniques, sometimes there's just static on the line, right? We hit persistent barriers. And it's useful to look at these barriers because often they act like diagnostic tools. They point to deeper issues that might be blocking good communication.
We talked about the obvious external noise, the phone buzzing, the TV blaring. Easy enough to identify, hopefully easy to fix. But what about the barriers inside us? Physical stuff we might ignore.
Oh, these are huge and often harder to admit to sometimes. Internal physical states are significant roadblocks. Think about extreme exhaustion, being really hungry. Angry is a real thing. Or being in physical pain.
Yeah, it's hard to be patient and empathetic when your head is pounding or you haven't eaten.
Exactly. These conditions severely deplete the cognitive resources you need for active listening. You literally don't have the bandwidth to manage your internal noise, suspend judgment, accurately paraphrase, all that hard work. When your body is screaming for basic needs, you become much more prone to irritability, defensiveness, snapping. Your biology works against you.
So the answer isn't just power through it if you're exhausted or starving and your partner wants to have a big talk.
Absolutely not. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
The smart strategy is proactive self-awareness. Recognize your state And then honor the importance of the conversation by rescheduling it.
How do you do that without sounding dismissive?
You validate the topic while acknowledging your limitation. Something like, hey, I really want to hear about this and it sounds important, but honestly, I'm completely wiped out or starving in pain right now, and I know I can't give you the focus you deserve. Can we please pick this up first thing in the morning or after dinner when I can be fully present? That respects them, respects the topic, and protects the quality of the conversation. It prevents a fight caused by sheer physical depletion. Okay, beyond the physical, there's the internal, mental, and emotional static. These require real discipline to manage. We already touched on the big one, the personal agenda, listening only to respond. While they're talking, your brain is humming, crafting your rebuttal, finding flaws in their argument.
Yeah, building your case. How do we interrupt that? It feels so automatic sometimes.
You need a circuit breaker. One effective technique is to implement a forced pause combined with radical mindfulness. Make a conscious rule for yourself. Before I'm allowed to say anything in response, I must be able to accurately repeat or paraphrase their last main point or sentence out loud.
Oh, wow. That forces you to listen.
It completely redirects your mental energy. Instead of formulating your response, you're forced to focus on fully capturing theirs. It short-circuits the rebuttal engine.
Okay. Then there are emotional triggers. Those moments when a word or phrase just hits a nerve. Maybe they use a word like always or never or something like selfish or incompetent, and boom, defenses go way up.
That's your brain's alarm system going off the amygdala hijack we talked about. It perceives a threat, shifts you into self-protection mode, and your ability to listen just plummets. You stop hearing them and start hearing your own internal defense monologue.
What's the strategy there? In the moment.
Rapid emotional awareness is key. You have to catch it happening. Internally acknowledge, whoa, okay, I'm feeling really defensive right now, or that word just triggered me. Naming it helps. Then take a conscious, slow, deep breath. That helps engage your parasympathetic nervous system, the calming one. And then make a deliberate mental effort to shift your focus back. Okay, what are they really trying to say beneath that trigger word? What's the feeling here?
And if it's too intense, if you just can't get back to listening,
then it's perfectly valid and often very wise to calmly ask for a brief timeout. You know what, I'm feeling really triggered right now, and I need 5 minutes to cool down so I can hear you better. Can we pause for a few minutes? Taking a short break is way better than escalating.
Okay. And the last internal barrier you mentioned, our own biases and assumptions, filtering what we hear through our past experiences with them.
Yeah, the baggage. We hear what they're saying now, but we interpret it through the lens of every similar conversation we've had before. We assume we know why they're saying it, what their real motives is, based on past hurts or patterns. This leads straight to misinterpretation.
So we're not hearing this conversation, we're hearing echoes of old ones.
Exactly. The strategy here is to try and cultivate what's sometimes called a beginner's mind. Approach this specific conversation, especially a difficult one, as if it's the first time you're hearing this particular perspective. Actively question your assumptions. Am I sure I know why they're bringing this up? And when in doubt, default to curiosity. Ask a clarifying question rather than jumping to conclusions based on the past. Help me understand, are you saying this because you want me to change X, or are you mostly just needing to vent about feeling Y right now? Don't assume intent. Ask.
This all leads perfectly into the final section. The real pressure cooker, conflict. This is where all these skills get tested under fire, isn't it? And where active listening, if we can manage it, can be absolutely transformative.
It really is the ultimate proving ground, because in destructive arguments, the unspoken goal is almost always about winning, proving your point, assigning blame, making sure you come out on top, or at least justified.
Right. It feels like a zero-sum game.
Totally. For conflict to become constructive, there has to be a conscious, explicit shift in that goal. The new goal must become mutual understanding.
Not necessarily agreement, right? We keep coming back to that.
Exactly. Not agreement, but ensuring that both partners walk away from the conversation feeling that their perspective, their feelings, their experience was fully heard, accurately understood, and treated with respect, even if you still disagree on the issue itself.
Why is that feeling of being heard so crucial, even without agreement?
Because that shared reality of, okay, we both feel understood by the other, is the essential foundation upon which any workable solution or compromise can be built. You can't solve a problem together if one or both of you still feels dismissed or attacked. Feeling heard creates the safety needed to collaborate.
Okay, so for couples who are really stuck in those negative loops where conversations always blow up, full of interruptions, yelling, defensiveness, the source material talked about a very specific, structured technique, almost like communication physiotherapy.
That's a great way to put it. Yes, the speaker-listener technique. It's designed precisely for those situations. It imposes a very clear structure that deliberately slows things down, eliminates interruptions, and forces each person to practice both speaking cleanly and listening fully. It essentially retrains those damaged communication muscles.
Probably not something you use for everyday chats about the weather.
Definitely not. It's for the important, potentially high-conflict conversations where things usually go off the rails. Think of it as scaffolding for a difficult talk.
Okay, let's break down the rules. It starts with something physical, right? The floor.
Yes. You need a designated object. It could be anything, a pen, a coaster, a salt shaker that represents the floor. And the absolute golden rule is only the person holding the floor can speak. Period. No exceptions. If you don't have the floor, you're listening. That's it.
That alone probably changes dynamics hugely. No interruptions.
Massive change. So the speaker's role when they have the floor is twofold. One, speak for yourself using I statements, I feel, I think, I need. Avoid use statements that sound like blame. Two, keep your points relatively brief, maybe a minute or two at most. Then pause. Hand the floor over, metaphorically or literally.
Okay, brief I statements. Then the listener's role. This sounds like the hard part.
It requires the most discipline. When you are the listener, not holding the floor, your only job is to listen. No interrupting, no defending yourself, no sighing dramatically, no eye-rolling, no planning your response. Just listen. And when the speaker pauses, your only task is to paraphrase back what you heard in your own words and check for accuracy.
Just the paraphrase, nothing else.
Just the paraphrase. You say, okay, let me see if I got that. You're saying paraphrase content and feeling, is that right? Or did I understand that correctly? You offer no opinion, no agreement or disagreement, just the reflection.
Wow, that forces listening. Okay, let's use that example from the source, the classic dishes scenario. Walk us through a turn or two, showing the floor changing hands.
Perfect. Let's say partner A starts with the floor. They might say, okay. When I walked in after that long day at work and I saw the breakfast dishes still piled in the sink, I just felt this immediate wave of exhaustion and honestly deep frustration. It landed on me like my effort isn't seen and the whole weight of keeping this place running just falls on my shoulders. Then partner A pauses.
Okay, now partner B, the listener, has to resist saying, but I had a crazy morning.
Right, absolutely resist.
Yeah.
Partner B's only job is to paraphrase. They might say, okay, let me make sure I'm hearing you. You're saying that seeing the dishes this evening triggered feelings of exhaustion and real frustration for you. And underneath that, the core feeling was one of feeling invisible, like your contributions aren't valued, and you're feeling unfairly burdened with managing the household. Is that right?
And partner A.
Partner A listens to the paraphrase and confirms. Yes, that catches it exactly. Or they might correct. Mostly, but it was less invisibility and more just feeling completely overwhelmed. Then partner B would paraphrase again until partner A says, yes, that's it.
Okay, now the floor changes.
Now the floor changes. Partner B takes the object. Now they get to speak using I statements. Partner B might say, okay, I hear that frustration and I understand it. And what was happening for me this morning was that I got blindsided by that emergency call from my boss right after breakfast. It threw my whole morning off, and I felt incredibly stressed and pulled in two directions, knowing the dishes were there but having to deal with this crisis immediately. I felt trapped, honestly.
Partner B pauses.
And partner A, now the listener, has to bite their tongue about the dishes again and just paraphrase B's experience.
Exactly. Partner A might say, okay, so you're saying you understand my frustration and that this morning you felt blindsided and really stressed by an unexpected work crisis right after breakfast. You felt pulled and trapped because you couldn't deal with both things at once. Did I get that?
And partner B confirms. Wow. You can see how that completely changes the tone. The actual issue, the dishes hasn't been solved yet, but both people feel heard, profoundly heard. The underlying emotional realities, feeling unseen and burdened for A, feeling stressed and trapped by crisis for B, are now on the table, acknowledged and validated. They're not just fighting about dirty plates anymore.
They're connecting on the deeper reasons behind the plates.
Precisely. That emotional validation, achieved through the structured listening, that's the essential first step. Now they're in a position to actually problem solve together. Maybe they talk about how to communicate better when a morning crisis hits, or agree on a backup plan for chores, but they do it from a place of mutual understanding, not mutual attack. And really that brings us full circle. Because ultimately, active listening isn't just a set of techniques you pull out during fights. It's much bigger than that. It's a continuous mindset. It's a way of being in the relationship. It's about intentionally cultivating a listening culture between you and your partner.
A listening culture, I like that. What does that mean day to day?
It means creating a baseline assumption in the relationship that both partners generally feel seen, heard, and valued. Not just when things are tough, but in the small moments too. It means knowing that your inner world matters to your partner and theirs matters to you. It builds this foundational security.
And that culture, like you said earlier, isn't built in one grand gesture. It's built how?
It's built in the accumulation of thousands of tiny moments. The moment you pause the podcast, you're listening to when your partner starts talking. The moment you put your phone face down on the table during dinner. The moment you turn your body towards them when they share something about their day. The moment you make eye contact and offer that simple, profound gift. For these few seconds or minutes, you have my complete, undivided attention.
That act itself, giving attention, is maybe one of the most powerful ways we show love and commitment, isn't it? Tangibly.
I believe it is. It communicates, without needing words, you matter, your experience is important to me, you are safe with me. It's a constant reinforcement of the bond. Now, mastering this skill, building this culture, it definitely takes patience. It takes real intention. You have to keep practicing, keep choosing it, like strengthening any muscle, right? It requires consistent effort. But that effort is a direct investment in the core foundation of the relationship itself.
And the payoff, the return on that investment, as we've talked about, it's huge. It's a connection that's deeper, stronger, more resilient, more intimate in the truest sense of the word. So for you listening, thinking about the cost of not feeling heard, that emotional distance, that quiet resentment that can build up, here's our final thought for you to take away. What's the one single small barrier to your own active listening? Maybe it's external, like always having the TV on, or maybe it's internal, like that knee-jerk defensiveness. What's one small thing you could choose to consciously work on this week, starting today, to help your partner feel just a little more truly seen and heard by you? The strength and depth of your connection might just depend on it.
Your tools. It's the strength to build anew. It's the light to guide you through. It's the choice to find your way. Starting here, starting today.
And that brings us to the end of our episode. I hope you walk away with the understanding that listening isn't just about waiting for your turn to speak. It's the bridge that connects you to your partner's experience. Join me next week for our third episode, Setting Healthy Boundaries. We often think boundaries push people away, but we'll explore how they actually keep relationships safe and sustainable. We'll look at exactly how to say no and protect your energy without feeling guilty. If you're finding this new season valuable, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to support the show, all the information for our donation link is in the show notes. As always, you can find all resources at yourjourneyyourtools.com and the app at yourjourneyyourtools.app. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on your journey.